Our guest tonight is a fantasy insider for the NFL Network, and you can watch him on NFL Fantasy Live. Marcus Grant, how you doing, Marcus?
I'm great, man. I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Yes.
Hey, we appreciate your time. Big fans. A little bit before we started recording, I had no idea you were from the 559.
I should clear. I'm not actually grew up in the Bay Area in Northern California, but I did live in the 559 for a while. I spent 1 year in Visalia. I was the radio voice of the then Visalia Oaks. I think they're the Rawhide now.
Yes, they are.
But I was their radio broadcaster for a season. And then I lived in Fresno for about 5.5 years, working in radio, doing play-by-play and hosting radio shows. So I didn't grow up there, but I am well acquainted with the 559 at this point.
The 559 route. That's awesome. Let's talk some fantasy football. So we're more than halfway through the NFL season. I just want to get your thoughts. Your biggest surprise so far in fantasy this year?
For me, I think it's got to be James Robinson. I mean, this is a guy who was an undrafted free agent, and coming into the year, we all sort of felt like it was going to be tough for rookies because it wasn't a normal year, right? You didn't have mini camps, you didn't have OTAs, you didn't have a traditional, preseason or training camp, and so you always know that the learning curve for rookies is a little bit longer than other players, and you felt like with them not getting as many reps that it was going to be hard. And so then compound that with being an undrafted free agent, right, where you don't get the sort of special treatment that you would if you were, say, a first round pick, right? I mean, we knew Joe Burrow was going to start for the Bengals, and we knew that he was going to get every opportunity to be great. You felt like an undrafted free agent was going to have an uphill battle just making the team, let alone starting. And things sort of worked out for Robinson, right? I mean, you had guys get hurt, you had guys go on the COVID list, and so the seas sort of parted, and he was able to jump in and become the starter in Jacksonville. Not only did he become the starter, he has just killed the opportunity. I mean, as we sit here and do this show, I think he might be the running back number 3 in fantasy. He is certainly a top 5 running back without a doubt at this point. He's been amazing. The Jaguars have trusted him to carry the full workload there. And you don't see that even in normal seasons, an undrafted rookie doing as well as he's did. So to see this in what has been just a weird year all around, I'm thrilled. I'm excited. It's been fun to watch, and he for real is maybe the biggest surprise I've seen this year.
Well, he's definitely helped out my team, and I'm still in the playoffs. Great thing. All right. Your biggest disappointment this year?
I think for me, it's probably Kenyon Drake. And this one, you want to talk about swings and misses when it comes to predictions. I was a stand for Kenyon Drake like nobody. I waved the flag big time. I mean, I really thought after what we saw from him last year in Arizona that he was set up to be a top 10 running back for sure. I mean, the fact that he was playing 80 to 85% of the snaps there in Arizona. He was getting carries. He was getting targets. He seemed to have freed himself of the Adam Gase curse and was balling out there in Arizona. I thought for sure he was going to be that guy that you somehow got in the early second round, and you would just be laughing at the rest of your league when you sat there with like a top 3, top 5 running back on your roster. That has not been the case at all. It was nice that he had a good game last week, but overall he's been an enormous disappointment to the point that we look at Chase Edmonds and we feel like, I feel like he's been the better back in Arizona for most of this year. Who knows? I mean, the season's not over. There's still a chance that Drake sort of resurrects himself the last few weeks of the season, but at least to this point, that might be my biggest swing and a miss when it came to my preseason predictions.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Marcus Grant, what's going on with you? I hope you're doing all right.
Doing good, man.
Hey, man, tell me about my buddy from the fantasy show, Adam Rank. Man, I love me some Adam Rank.
Adam Rank, honestly, is one of the best people I know. And it's funny. So this for me is, wow, it is season number 10 at the NFL, which I never believed. Honestly, this is the longest I've ever been at one job in my entire life. This is season number 10 for me. And, I don't know how many people, outside of, maybe Los Angeles or Southern California know this, but Adam Rank on the side is a stand-up comedian. He does gigs in and around Southern California all the time. And I will tell you that for 10 seasons now, I have been Adam Rank's unofficial joke tester. Whenever he is like working on a new bit or some new material, like I feel like I probably hear it before most of the rest of the world. Probably because I'm sure at this point his wife is probably tired of hearing him test new material and that sort of thing. But honestly, Adam Rank is really one of the best people I know. I mean, he's a funny dude. He's one of the nicest guys you're ever gonna meet, and I mean, just really knowledgeable about football. I mean, yeah, obviously his love is for the Chicago Bears. He doesn't hide that at all. But this is a dude who watches a ton of football, who knows a lot of football. He and I sort of joke about the fact that we both love Pac-12 After Dark. That we'll sit and watch some of those Pac-12 games. So like if there's a Pac-12 guy, offensively that maybe you don't necessarily know about, chances are Adam Rank has watched this dude because he's been up at like midnight or whatever, like, watching Arizona State games or Utah games or what have you. But it has really been a joy to watch him. And I told him before that, I don't know how long I will be at the NFL. I don't know that this is going to be the last stop in my career, but I told him that he can't leave before I do, because I don't know that I'd want to come to work every day and not have Adam Rank there next to me. So that poor guy is stuck at the NFL as long as I am. So sorry about your luck, Rank.
Yeah, that's a real good. And also, we just wrapped up our own fantasy show right before we brought you on the air, and I didn't get a chance to hop on because we was handling some business. But I want to ask you about, I'm a Patriots fan. I want to ask you about Jacoby Myers. What's his outlook for this week and going forward?
This week, actually, I think he's got a pretty good outlook for this week because they're playing the Texans, and the Texans defense is pretty terrible. It's funny too because last year I think there were points in the season, and certainly in the preseason last year, I remember us thinking Jacoby Myers is a guy who has a chance to maybe pop in this Patriots offense, and it didn't happen for him last year. And I think we sort of forgot about it a little bit, but we've seen the last few weeks how much the Patriots are relying on him and how much they believe in him. And so I do think this week is a good week for him. I think this is a week to get all your Patriots in. I mean, Cam is going to be okay. Jacoby Myers should be fine. I mean, Damiere Byrd has very quietly put together a kind of nice season there in New England as well. I mean, I've been huge the last couple of weeks, actually most of the season, but especially the last couple of weeks on Damian Harris. So I think this is a week where I know the Patriots offense has been a little bit uneven, but this feels like a get right week for a lot of folks out there.
Yes. Thank you so much, Marcus Grant. That was terrific.
No problem.
Hey, Marcus, this is Jerry from Texas. So funny story, real quick, to the audience. I mean, he actually knows what part of Texas I'm from. So for those that don't know, it's the South Texas area. But hey, Marcus, thank you so much for coming on the show. Big fan, as like we all said earlier. Let's have a little bit of fun here. So I noticed one of the things about being, just tuning into your show is just you guys had this energy, it's just contagious. It's just awesome. So let me ask you this. We're gonna have a little fun. What is your pregame, ritual?
It's probably less exciting than you'd like to imagine it being. I mean, literally, I about an hour or so before, and I'll say this year obviously is different because we're not in studio and we're at home, and I sit here in the upstairs of my apartment and sort of work on stuff. And so about an hour before they call us up on Skype, because we're using Skype and Zoom and stuff just like everybody else right now. Yeah. So about an hour before they call us up on Skype, I usually might go and grab myself a snack. I don't know, whatever it is, a sandwich or some pretzels. And then I put a little bit of powder on my face. I have had to learn. I'll say this year, I have learned more about television production than I ever imagined I would have. And I'll say this, I always had a great respect and appreciation for the stage crew. I mean, the folks who run the cameras and the lights and the folks who do the makeup and the wardrobe. I enjoy talking to those folks. I always respected those folks, but I've gained an even deeper appreciation for what they do because now I am lighting director. I am audio guy. I am set director. I am makeup person. I am wardrobe. So literally, I think my pregame ritual is like about an hour or so. I'll go grab a snack. I'll get some water. I'll put on a new shirt. And put a little bit of powder on my face, and then they dial me up on Skype, and we're ready to go. I will say that until maybe 3 weeks ago, I think I had done every show in like shorts and barefoot. Now that the temperature in Southern California has dipped below 70, I wear socks and sweats. But that's kind of the big difference between say now and like back to like August or something.
So I got a couple more for you. So,
Sure.
we're having fun here. So, of course, pre-COVID, right?
Mhm.
Tell me, can you explain, maybe one of your most memorable times interacting with a fan? Because I'm sure you get, I'm pretty sure you get a bunch of fantasy questions, but I mean, can you explain one?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I do. I mean, like certainly on social media, you get a lot of questions and people asking you stuff all the time. I think what is weird to me, and it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while I'll be out and someone who watches the show will sort of come up to me and ask me, a question, usually about usually about their lineup or what have you. And it's always I would say one day I think I was walking down the street. I think I was coming home from like the movies or something. I was just walking down the street and this guy in a pickup truck like slowly pulls up, and like it's a little bit disconcerting, right, when you're just walking and somebody just creeps up on you slowly from behind. Like you kind of get a little bit nervous, like what's going on. Right, and this dude pulls over and he rolls down his window and he's like, hey, you're on that fantasy show, right? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, oh cool, I watch all the time. I'm like, hey, thanks, I appreciate you watching. And then he like kind of starts to drive off and then he stops and I'm like, uh-oh, what's up? And he's like, hey man, since you're right here, should I start Marquise Brown this weekend? I was like, yeah, sure. So that was fun. I did want to say this, maybe one of the best experiences. Like sort of humble brag. I ended up getting free dessert at a restaurant because of it. Um, I was having dinner with a buddy of mine, and this guy comes up and recognizes me and he's like, hey, I watch your show. He's like, hey, look, I know you're eating dinner. This was this guy was the manager, and he's like, his dad owned the restaurant. And he's like, I know you're eating dinner. I hate to bother you, but he's like, I got to make the playoffs, man. Can you like just look at my lineup real quick? So I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I look at his phone and like, I made like one or two changes or whatever. He's like, dude, I totally appreciate it. And like 10 minutes later, he came back with free dessert. So I'm like, that was totally worth it. That was awesome. So stuff like that is cool. And I will say this. I know, Twitter at times can be a really nasty, sort of ugly place. I will say that my experience has been pretty good. And I would say about 95% of the people that I interact with are genuinely good, nice people who just people who just want to play fantasy football and they just want to kind of get smarter about it. So I do feel fortunate. I know a lot of people kind of, catch a lot of hell on there, but generally speaking, the folks I interact with are usually good people.
Man, it's so awesome to hear. One more, and
Yeah,
and
of
and
course.
and we're done with me. Uh, so like you know, so Kendall mentioned we have a fantasy team. So we do have a fantasy team, and I feel that they do a phenomenal job as far as their coverage and whatnot. So for the youth, right, especially seeing your show, well, the show that you're on, and everybody that's on there. I mean, it's just one of those shows that you cannot miss. Is not you cannot miss this show. So, if there's any advice that you could give to somebody that's aspiring to be exactly in your shoes,
Mhm.
is there any advice that you can share with our audience and with our team?
I mean, I would say one, keep doing what you're doing, first of all. I The one thing that is different now versus even 5 years ago is the fact that there are so many more ways to kind of get your work out there. You've got blogs, you can write for different places, you can do podcasts, you can do, now that video has become such a bigger thing, that's an opportunity here too. And so that was sort of different. I mean, look, I am I remember being old enough, like when I graduated from college, we didn't have the internet wasn't quite as big as it is now. Like,
Oh yeah.
we sort of had email. And I mean, I was still when I graduated from college, we were still doing dial-up for internet, right? I mean, like it was still, it would take you 10 minutes to download a song off of like, Napster or LimeWire or something like that. And if it turned out it was the wrong song, then you were just like heated for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So like, YouTube was not a thing, and social media was not a thing. And I always advocate for folks to take advantage of that. I mean, one, because it is a chance to sort of get your work out there in front of other people. But the other part of it is it allows you to sort of practice and get your reps and make your mistakes. It used to be that in order to get on air, you had to get a job on air, in which case you were expected to sort of be a professional and be ready. And, if you made a mistake, you were going to hear about it from a lot of people. I mean, nowadays you can go, and now that, Twitter is trying to look more like Instagram, which is trying to look more like Snapchat, whatever, you can do a fleet, or you can do an IG story. And even if you have like a hot take that ends up being kind of stupid and terribly wrong, like it's gone in 24 hours. Like it's just gone, but it's a chance still for you to kind of practice your craft and work on that sort of thing. So I certainly advocate people just working on it and putting that stuff out there and getting as many reps as possible, because you can do it for free or next to nothing at this point. The other thing I say, and this applies not just to this, but literally I feel like anything in life you want to do, find the people that you think are good at the thing that you want to do, and for lack of a better term, steal from them. Just look at what they do and find the things that you like about them, whether it is their style or their manner of speaking, or just the way they whatever they wear, whatever it is about them that you gravitate toward. Take that thing and then try to make it your own. Because I think that's the other part of it, is because there are so many people that want to do this, whether it's fantasy or just sports broadcasting, what have you. There's so many people that want to do this. You have to find a way to sort of stand out, and the best way to do that is just by doing what feels natural to you. So it's sort of it's like cooking, right? You take somebody else's recipe and then you add your own little flavor to it a little bit. You add your own little spices, your own little seasonings to it, and you make it your own. And I think that sort of applies in this area too. So just keep working at it, and just keep trying to figure out a way to do things that you feel come natural and are comfortable to you. And at some point, you will find that rhythm, and you'll find, I think, that opportunity that you're kind of looking for.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Dude, no problem.
All right, Marcus. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Quick question before I let you go. Tom Brady, he's had, good games, he's had bad games. This Monday night, he plays against the Rams. They have a pretty good defense. What should I do? Should I bench him or should I start him?
I would probably avoid Tom Brady this week. He's just funny. He sort of has been kind of what I thought he would be this year. I came into the season, I think I had him ranked at like quarterback 11 or 12, somewhere around there. So I'm like, he's kind of a fringe QB1 in a lot of leagues. And I think, he's going to be kind of a matchup based guy. When the matchup is great, he has done really well. When it's not so great, he's been just okay. I think the only time, last week against Carolina, on paper, it wasn't a good matchup, and then he just kind of blew up. But I think a lot of that had to do with him looking so bad against the Saints the week before. Like, honestly, I feel like if I was the Panthers and I watched that Monday night game against the Saints, I'm like, come on, right? If I'm the Panthers, I'm like, come on, like this. Because you just knew that Brady was going to come in hot, and he did. But this is not a good matchup this week. So if you can avoid him, I probably would. I mean, there are guys out there. Look, if you want to try Tua as a streamer against the Broncos this week, Jameis streaming against the Falcons this week. I think there are a lot of other good options there that you can sort of pivot to and get away from Tom Brady.
All right, Marcus. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we hope to talk to you down the road.
Hey, appreciate it. You guys take care. Be good.
Thank you, too.